Hello again, I'm Robert Fithin, and Record Store Day, Black Friday 2025. The list was just released a few days ago. Everybody's making their videos, and well, this one is mine. So if you've seen my previous videos about Record Store Day, you know that I'm not a Record Store Day hater. I really love the festivity of it. I love the whole atmosphere of it. I work at a record store once a week, Riverbend Records. And, you know, it started off just kind of a fun thing I was doing, and now it's at the point where I've been there for 3 years. So I love Record Store Day. You can join in the festivities. It gives you an opportunity to see other vinyl enthusiasts from the area that you may not have seen since the last one. And chit-chat, talk, catch up. You got some great releases that come out. You got some not-so-great ones. But nobody says you have to buy anything. That's the great thing. You can just enjoy the atmosphere. Some record stores have live bands and all kinds of things going on. So it's a really cool event. I really enjoy it. And so, yeah, today in this video, I'm going to talk about some things that I actually might want for Record Store Days, some things that I find interesting, ridiculous, the most ridiculous Record Store Day, my award of that, who is that going to go to this year, the dumbest release of the year, also a few cash grabs that I think are pretty funny, those are coming up, and the UK list for Record Store Day, what one are people going to want on there that's not on the US one. I'll talk about all that stuff and a bunch more. Let's get started right away with something that I find interesting, and that is merchandise that is not audio. And I'm not a Record Store Day expert as far as what's been released in the past, but this is the first time that I remember something being available that's not audio. It's a piece of merchandise, and it's the Tom Petty t-shirt. So I just thought that was interesting. That just seems like that's going to open the door on all kinds of merchandise that has nothing to do with records or CDs or whatever. Yeah, a t-shirt. You know, I think they're making 800 of them, and for Record Store Day. So yeah, this is something you purchase. This is not a freebie that's, you know, going to be given out. You know, I know record stores give out bags and stuff like that, but this is something that you buy that's on the actual Record Store Day list. And I just think that's interesting. And I can pretty much bet that this is going to be song one, side one of an entire box set of merchandise that's going to be coming up next year. Next year, there's going to be probably 5 or 6 pieces of things that aren't, you know, you're going to have the magnets or the hats or the, you know, whatever, the cock rings or whatever they're going to merchandise to you, you know, cups or glasses or whatever that have nothing to do with records. This is in conjunction with the From the Vault Live Volume 1 release that Warner is coming out with for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. 2 LPs, RSD first, 7,500 copies of that. Also, something else I found interesting was the Led Zeppelin single for Trampled Underfoot. And I find that interesting because it's basically just a replica of the original single with the original B-side. Both of them are on Physical Graffiti, so it's not anything super rare or anything. But I find it interesting because Led Zeppelin and their manager have always touted themselves as not a singles band. They don't like singles. They don't want singles. They are an albums band, and here they are putting out a single for Record Store Day. Instead of culling the vaults and getting like a live performance or some outtakes or something like that, it's just a single, a 7-inch single, an RSD exclusive, 6,100 copies. And just so you know, when during the whole video, when I say RSD exclusive, I'm really saying supposedly an RSD exclusive. So just know that, because anytime it's an RSD exclusive, it's kind of like, is it really though? Also coming out, the liquid vinyl of 2 Eric Carr albums. You have Rockology, which has been released before, also Unfinished Business, which looks like it's from the Creatures of the Night era. That's a pretty cool album cover though. That's a limited run, 500 copies of that. I find that interesting because I find liquid vinyl interesting. I want one. You know, I want a liquid vinyl record, but not Eric Carr. Nothing against him personally. I'm just not a big fan of Kiss from that era, so I'm not going to get that. I'm not going to get the Bon Jovi Slippery When Wet, that's for damn sure. But I want them to come out with some sort of a liquid vinyl record that I actually want. I would get that just because I want at least one. You know, I think that's really cool with the liquid. I'm a big time into some of those gimmicks. I'm sorry, but so this one's interesting because it's a heartbreaker, not Tom Petty. It just breaks my heart. Almost brings a tear to my eye. It makes me lose faith in humanity. And that is the RSD exclusive, 3,000 copies, for Creed Live in San Antonio, a 2 LP set. And that just makes me sad, because to think that they might actually be 3,000 people that are interested in a Creed double live album. That's just sad, man. That's awful. Another live release, 2LP, is The Doors, live in Copenhagen, 1968. That's another RSD exclusive, 5,300 copies. Probably going to pass on that. I'm good with my Doors collection. I think the Doors are incredible, one of my favorite bands, but I've already got the Rhino box set. I've already got a couple of live releases. One of them I got burned on from a previous RSD because of the sound quality. I'm good with my Doors stuff. You can get some of that stuff on the internet, you know, stream it. So I'm probably going to pass on the live in Copenhagen. One thing I might be interested in, though, is the original Freewheelin' Bob Dylan. That's an RSD exclusive, 1,300 copies. So that might be a little easier to find that one. This is supposedly how the original Freewheelin' Bob Dylan was intentionally or was originally intended, with some songs on there that were removed because they felt that they were going to be too controversial or provocative. So that's the myth, or that's the legend, that they removed those, so they're going to put those back on the album and release it as originally intended. So I might go for that one. Not sure on that one yet. Another one I might go for is the Maitreya Cali album. Now, he's also known as Craig Smith, big songwriter, and in 71 and 72 he released a couple of pretty much homemade albums, you know, very lo-fi, independently released. They were called Apache and Inca, and like I said, very lo-fi. Most of it, just him and an acoustic guitar, but he still pulls off a psychedelic sound, even though it's acoustic psychedelic, if you can imagine that. But there are some electric things on there as well, including really long songs that just kind of take you and just make you want to phase out. You know, so to get an original of either of those, extremely hard to find, very expensive, very collectible. So it's interesting that they are releasing those. These are the kind of RSD releases that I love. When they're taking something not previously available to, you know, general record buyers and making it available. Excellent. And I might get that. It's, like I said, limited to 400 copies, though. So that's going to be super hard to get, but it's definitely on my list. Flaming Lips, live at the Zoo Amphitheater as they do their Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots album in Oklahoma City. That's an RSD exclusive, 4,000 copies of that. I'm not so much into later live stuff on vinyl. I'm sure there's video available of it. I'll just watch the video. You know, it's from 2024, so I'm going to pass on that, but I know a lot of people would be interested in that. Another one a lot of people would be interested in is Fleetwood Mac Live 1975. Now, this is obviously when Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham first joined the band. This is an RSD exclusive, a 2LP, 5,000 copies of that. And not really for me. I mean, I like Fleetwood Mac enough, but I'm probably not going to get it. But the thing about that I like, though, is that they're releasing something different. They're not just redoing Rumors or the self-titled again and putting it on white vinyl or putting it on a picture disc or making it a double LP set. You know, how many times are they going to redo Rumors? It's nice to see that they're doing something different with Live 1975. Here's another one I might be interested in, Jorma Kaukonen and Wabash Avenue. That is a 2LP set, RSD exclusive, only 2,000 copies of that. I love his guitar sound. I think he's one of the signature sounds of Jefferson Airplane. And once they get into the early 70s with albums like Long John Silver, I think that his guitar on that is the only reason to listen to it. You know, those later Jefferson Airplane albums, I mean, Jorma Kaukonen is the only thing they got going for him as far as I'm concerned. This is actually early recordings from 1965. So I'll have to try to check that out, see if some of those are on the internet, check out the quality of that, see if that's something I really want or something I want to pass on. But that might be one that I'm kind of looking at. Here's another one I'm looking at, is the Complete Electra albums from Love. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the band Love. They're kind of hit and miss for me. I know that some people absolutely love, but like I said, for me, they're kind of hit and miss. This is a 5 LP set. This is their Electrica albums. There's no bonus tracks or anything like that, I don't think. RSD exclusive, 2,000 copies. But my whole thing with them is their originals are so hard to find. I've got the first album and I've got the second album with the white cover, and they're VG at best. And so this is an opportunity to get nice, clean copies of these all in a set and be done with it. And I'm not sure how much this is going to cost. I'm sure it's around probably $200, $150, something like that. So I'm on the fence on that one, but that one caught my eye. So they have the complete Elektra albums from Love. I really don't have anything from them. Forever Changes, that's the name of the white one. Almost forgot the name of that. This is a way to get them all and not have to keep buying, $50 VG copies of stuff. This is a way to do it right. One that I definitely want. Well, I won't say definitely. One that I'm fairly certain I want is Curtis, from Curtis Mayfield. I'm embarrassed that I don't have that album already. It's like that Strawberry Alarm Clock video I put out. I'm embarrassed I don't have this because this album smokes. And this is a Rhino Reserve version. I guess that means it's got incredible sound quality, RSD exclusive, 2,700 copies. And I'm not a fan of that cover art at all. I've never been able to find a good copy of this, and then I wanted to get the box set where it has like 5 albums from him in it. Then I ended up finding the other 3 albums out of that. So I still don't have Curtis or Roots, but I have the other 3 albums in that box set. So it's time for me to go ahead and get the other 2 albums, and this is an excellent way to do that with Rhino Reserve because it's going to sound terrific. Note, if you get this album and you've never heard it before, skip over the first minute of it or first 30 seconds of it. If you're a record store owner and you want to sample some RSD vinyl while the store is full of people, do not play the first 30 seconds of this while the store is full. I'll just put it that way. It's a Windows Up. That's a Windows Up song. Joni Mitchell, Rolling Thunder review. That might be interesting as well. I love Joni Mitchell's voice. She's not such a great person as I keep learning more and more about her. She's really kind of a harsh person critiquing other people and being just a mean girl all the time. I'm not into that at all. But Rolling Thunder review. I love the Rolling Thunder stuff with the Bob Dylan tour. This is an RSD exclusive, 5,500 copies. Joni Mitchell never disappoints in this era, so I might check that out. Jonathan Richman is somebody that disappoints, though, especially in the 90s, which is where You Must Ask the Heart is from, an RSD exclusive, 1,600 copies. Love me some early Jonathan Richman, not so much his love songs and Jonathan Goes Country and stuff like that from later on, so I'll have to investigate this one a little further. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I'm not getting fooled again with these zoetrope. No. Oh, you have to have a phone app to see the things move. Okay, I don't want a phone app. I want to be able to look at like the old Zoetrope stuff and see it move. That's the whole magic of it. Why would I want to look through a record playing through my phone? That's ridiculous. And this time it's the Rolling Stones, Their Satanic Majesty's Request. That's an RSD first. So there'll be others. 6,000 copies. Don't want that. I've got a great, excellent version, excellent copy of an original with the 3D cover and everything, so I'm good with that. Also have it on CD. Season to Risk in a Perfect World is an RSD exclusive, 1,500 copies. I'm interested in hearing what that sounds like. Not interested in the record. I'm not big into 90s vinyl being re-released, or 90s CDs basically being re-released on vinyl. I'm not into that. I know a lot of people are. More power to you. It's just not for me. But I do want to hear what that sounds like, and maybe I'll pick up the CD sometime. Same thing for Sunvolt Trace 30th Anniversary. RSD exclusive, 3,000 copies of that. It's a double color vinyl. And the second album is all outtakes and demos and stuff like that. So, again, I've got the CD. I'm happy with that. Great album. One that I might get, though, is The Stranglers and Radis Norvegicus? Is that how you say that? RSDX. I've never known how to... I've heard it pronounced like 6 different ways over the years. And this is not easy to find in the U.S. Cheap. And so there's an RSD exclusive, 2,400 copies. I'm going to see how much this costs first to decide whether I want to do this or just still look for a good, clean original of that. But I definitely want that album at some point. Talking Heads have been doing really well with their... demos, outtake stuff that have been coming out for Record Store Day, so they're doing it again, called Tentative Decisions, Demos and Live, RSD exclusive, 7,500 of that. Not so much for me, but I know some people that would really be into that. One that I'm going to have to check out some of the tracks on, stream some of the tracks first, is this Various Artists comp called Flowers in the Afternoon, the late 60s Sunshine. This is psychedelic stuff from the late 60s, a little more pop-centric, I think, but... don't just blow over the Various Artists section. I've said that before. There's some good stuff in there, and we'll see how some of these tracks sound. before I commit to buying that one. Another one, oh, that's a RSD exclusive, by the way, 1,600 copies. Another one comes from Sun Records, and this is What's the World Coming to? Garage Rock from the Sun Records Vault. That's an RSD first, so know that. 1,500 copies. I'm going to check out some of the tracks on that as well before I make a commitment on that. Ween doesn't show up too much on Record Store Day. An RSD exclusive, 6,000 copies for Shinola Volume 1, which is outtakes, demos, you know, B-sides, things like that. Witch, the Zamrock band Witch, is coming out with Full Ride, or Fool's Ride. That's an RSD first, 1,400 copies. This is a collection of singles that they've put out, which are very rare and hard to find. So they're compiling those for this Fool's Ride album. And Dwight Yoakam has his first 3 albums of the 90s, and then a bonus LP, 4 LP set, RSD exclusive, 2,745 copies of that, and it's called And Then I Wrote the First 3 Albums of the 90s. I'm pretty good with my Dwight Yoakam CDs. I'd be interested to see what's on that 4th vinyl disc before I commit to buying this. But if it's, again, I'm not so much into 90s stuff being reissued on vinyl, so it's really all about that 4th LP to see what's on there for me before I commit to that one. I talked about cash grabs. The cash grab of the year is Motley Crue. Again, they take the award for Home Sweet Home, the 12-inch picture disc, RSD exclusive, 2,500 copies. Obviously something for collectors only. Motley Crue, instead of putting out demos or rare stuff or a live thing, they're always putting out these stupid picture discs of 12-inch singles like they're some sort of club act or something. Like Motley Crue's first 2 albums after that, well, I guess Dr. Feelgood's okay in parts, but after all the other stuff you can keep. I don't care. The album that I think a lot of people are going to be interested in and upset with that it's not on the US list, but it's on the UK Black Friday Record Store Day list, is Sid Lives from Sid Vicious, 2 LP version of that. And I don't care that much for Sid Vicious, but I know a lot of people would really want to have that. I'm sure it has My Way on it. And yeah, not on the US one, on the UK one. But I think it's interesting that the UK is having a Black Friday after Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's not a thing in the UK, right? So finally, my award for the dumbest, most useless release this year, gotta be this one. I mean, some people don't like picture discs, some people do. I don't like the Zoetrope thing where you gotta look through your phone. Some people like those, that's fine. This though, I don't get why anybody would want this. Seals and Crofts, Greatest Hits, RSD exclusive, 3,000 copies. So they're thinking that 3,000 people are going to want a reissue of Seals and Crofts' Greatest Hits, an album you can find in any $3 bin, usually in great condition if you look enough. There are mint copies of this. There are sealed copies of this that you can buy online, of an original from the 70s or maybe the early 80s. I don't know the pricing, it's sealed. Sealed copies are going for $15 shipped. You know, that's with the shipping included. And they're expecting, I don't know how much this is going to be, but why in the world are we wasting our time and our pressing time and our materials repressing something that is in every dollar bin in all stores all over the country, probably in other countries as well, for for $1, $3. There are so many albums out there that Rhino could be reissuing, especially Rhino, a huge company like that. And they are wasting everybody's time, everybody's materials, everybody's efforts with Seals and Crofts' Greatest Hits. Those are the ones I'm interested in. Those are the ones I find interesting. That's my award for dumbest. I gave my award for cash grab. Talked about the one that's on the UK that's not on the US list. So what are you interested? What are you thinking about for RSD Black Friday 2025? You've probably already commented on other people's videos, but go ahead and leave a comment on mine because I'm interested to know. And yeah, so that's what's going to be happening. And of course, I will be doing a video from the record store and talking to people like I always do and showing you what I ended up with. And so a few interesting things, a few things I'm going to investigate first, but we'll see what happens with Record Store Day, Black Friday 2025. I'm Robert Fithen. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I will talk to you again next time when I'm back to my 1983 Deep Dive.